Well, there is your start list for the men's final that kicks us off today. Damdindorj of Mongolia will be looking to make history. He's one of two Mongolians here this weekend.
Worl is over. Good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Mongolia, Enkhtuvshin
Damdindorj finished fourth in qualifying. He scored 14.05. He looked as though he was looking to the camera there as he was chalking up his hands and feet. Perhaps he was enjoying the attention. He looks composed, focused and ready. Wonderful tumbling pass to begin this floor routine. Second landing, not quite as tidy as his first. That is a shame. That will eat away at his execution score. He seems to have recovered well from that earlier landing in which he went out of bounds. Of course, that will elicit a deduction of 0.1 points for the 1 foot out of the arena. Well, a mixed performance from the Mongolian. He'll be disappointed with that landing on his third tumbling pass. He started really well. Fourth in qualification, but you suspect that he will be marked down on his execution there. That routine has a difficulty rating of 5.6, so 4.05 was his qualification score. Seems as though he's could be suggesting there that this is Dmitriy PATANIN of Kazakhstan also getting his feet all chalked up. He won't want a slip up like Damdindorj just there in the opening floor routine. It was this third tumbling pass where he just went out of bounds, didn't quite control the landing. It is an anxious wait for the judges to produce their scores. Well, that is disappointing indeed for Damdindorj, who will be ruing.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Kazakhstan, Assan SALIMOV.
He ended up on his backside and with both feet out of bounds. Disappointing for the Mongolian. Assan SALIMOV. has won medals at World Challenge Cup level. Took gold on the vault at Antalya earlier this year. So a useful performer on a number of different apparatus. He finished 6th in qualification. This routine is worth a 5.8 in terms of difficulty, but you suspect that his execution scores will be high. Slight hop forward there, but otherwise his landings have been pretty decent. Generated some real power there, didn't he? But despite that, really kept the graceful elements as well of the routine, and I think that he will be pretty pleased with that performance. Well, Salimov, of course, knows what it takes to win medals at this level. That was a solid performance, big step forward on landing at that point, but generally pretty consistent. Will he improve on the 13.750 that he achieved in qualification? Really maintained his form well throughout the air there. Chest high, the legs close together. Down on his qualification score.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Hungary, MOLNAR.
It's not been a particularly high scoring final so far. Okay, we've only had 2 gymnasts go, but perhaps we'll see the best scores coming a little later on. This is Botond MOLNAR of Hungary. Took silver in this event last year. Sixth best in qualification, 13.750, the same as Salimov. Stuck his landing on that one, didn't he? Beautiful form in the air. And a big smile to finish off. Certainly looks pleased with that one. I'm sure he's hopeful of getting to the top of the podium as things stand. Little nod of the head. He looks confident. Of course, he is only the 3rd gymnast to go, but certainly the one who's looked the most confident after making his way off the floor. Last year's silver medalist. How much would he love to repeat that feat, get back on that podium? This is worth a 5.8 in terms of difficulty, which is the third most difficult routine of the floor finalists. This from Nazar out of Hungary with a 6.3. That's the most difficult. Well, 13.533 is the score he needs to beat. Not quite, just falling short.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, representing Bulgaria,
Disappointed with that. He's down on his qualification score, and he came off the floor looking really pleased indeed. Dimitrov, the home hope. Finished 9th in qualifications, so sneaks in as a reserve. Oh, the foot out of bounds will elicit a deduction on the execution. It's a very different style of gymnast to the 3 we've seen already. Generating some real power in these tumbles. The others have all been a bit lighter and more graceful. He was going for the big tumbling pass to end the routine, failed to control the landing, the chest just too far down. Loses balance and he hangs his head. Looks disappointed with the way he's finished that routine, and of course he did have that 1 foot out of bounds a little earlier on in one of the earlier tumbling passes. There we go, that's a deduction of 0.1 points. Really getting the same height as some of the other gymnasts. He scored 13.7 in qualifying. It doesn't even look as though he's hanging around to see what he gets in this final. Well, that is the midway point of our first final of the day. 4 competitors have been and gone on the floor. We just await Dimitrov's score, but it is 13.533. That is the highest one so far. That is the one to beat at this midway stage. That was MOLNAR Botond. .766. That is disappointing for Dimitrov. That step out of bounds and then the loss of balance on his final landing, costing him in terms of his execution score, well down on the score he achieved in qualification. So at the midway stage, it is MOLNAR Botond who leads. Finland's Emil WOIVALIN gets us back underway. He finished qualification in 8th place. His routine is worth a 4.9 in terms of difficulty, so on the lower end of the difficulty scale, but if he can make up those points in execution, he could be in with a chance. It was all going so well up until that stumble backwards for the Finn. You suspected that he was really racking up those execution points because he was sticking his landings. Just let down at the very final moment there. Well, 12.9 is enough to get him into 3rd position as things stand, scoring well on the execution with an 8. And he has bettered his qualification score. My apologies, he hasn't bettered his qualification score. His qualification score is 13.7. It's not been the highest of scoring finals thus far. Dmitry PATANIN must be sensing there is an opportunity here for him. .6 in qualifying, the 2nd best, behind Mazaros of Hungary. His routine is worth a 5.9 in terms of difficulty, the 2nd most difficult that we will see in this final. Absolutely stuck that landing, didn't he? A solid, confident, assured performance from Dmitry PATANIN. One of 2 Kazakhstani athletes in this final. 13.533 is the score he needs to beat to get on top of the podium as things stand. I suspect that he's given himself a very decent chance of doing so. Really solid on landing. 14.033. He leaps to the top of the standings.
Representing Italy, Lorenzo Botond.
Lorenzo Botond is our penultimate athlete to go. He finished qualification in 5th place with a 13.9. This is a 5.6 on the difficulty level. Really lovely, stuck the landing as well. Wonderful form in the air. Lorenzo Botond with a double high five for the coach, and you suspect that that will be enough to get him onto the podium as things stand. PATANIN at the minute is head and shoulders above the rest. But Botond, the 5.6 difficulty, you suspect would have scored pretty well in his execution as well. A couple of slight steps forward, but otherwise it was another assured performance. Just sneaks onto the podium ahead of Botond. That is enough for 3rd place, but there is still one more gymnast to go. None of these athletes scoring as high as they did in qualification. Nicolas DIEZ, the final athlete, takes to the floor, the 3rd best in qualifying. 5.8 for difficulty in this routine. He got 14.1 in qualification, but it has been a much lower scoring final. Let's see if DIEZ can buck that trend. That was certainly a crowd pleaser, wasn't it? Frenchman looks confident as he exits the floor. Of course, with the withdrawal of Christopher Mazarish, the highest in qualification, the final opens up somewhat. 14.66. Nicolas DIEZ leapfrogs Bonicelli of Italy. Gets himself onto that podium. And of course, France will be very much looking forward to the Olympic Games this summer, their home games, and they'll be sending an incredibly strong team. Well, it was a funny old floor final. Dmitry PATANIN with a 14.033. The highest scorer, significantly down on his qualification. That concludes the first of our 5 finals for the day. Turn our attention next to the women with the vault competition, which is sure to be a very high quality one indeed. We have Tatiana Korent back to defend the vault title she won here last year. That is coming up very shortly indeed. So the final ranking for the vault competition, Dmitry PATANIN with a 14.03 takes the gold ahead of Nicolas DIEZ, who takes the silver. Assan SALIMOV makes up the podium with the bronze medal, so a pretty good start for Kazakhstan with 2 out of the 3 medals on offer so far. So confirmation once again of the final scores on the men's floor exercise. Kazakhstan with the gold and bronze, and France the silver in between.
Third place and bronze medal representing Kazakhstan, Assan Salimov.
Assan Salimov collects bronze for the floor. He's got medals at this level before.
Second place and silver medal.
Most recently on the vault in Antalya earlier this year. Frenchman Nicolas DIEZ, big smile as he steps up to claim the silver.
Third place and bronze medal representing Kazakhstan, Dmitry PATANIN.
But the only gymnast to have scored a 14, Dmitry PATANIN, justly rewarded with the gold medal.
Third place awards Varna and Varna. Second place awards Minister of Youth and Sport Georgi Gushko. First place awards Mayor of City Park Varna plavunej kodze.
Prvo mjesto nagраждава кмета на град Варна Богомил Коцев.
Well, big smiles for the cameras. Congratulations to all 3 medalists. Congratulations indeed to all 8 finalists, an achievement in itself. Led out by their first representative, Zeinolla IDRISSOV. Artur DAVTYAN will follow, a very familiar name on many start lists in finals, as is Nariman KAZ, the second Kazakhstani athlete in this. And of course, Ravshan KAMILJANOV rounds out the final. And here they come. Again, it's a lot of accomplished names on this start list. So it should be a high quality pommel horse final indeed. The 2 Kazakhstani athletes actually were the top 2 in qualification. Of course, Kazakhstan already have 2 medals for their efforts today, gold and bronze on the men's floor. As you may have heard there from the stadium announcer, the first 4 athletes will start to warm up as ever. Then at the midway point we'll have a break and the next 4 will warm up. So IDRISSOV gets us underway for Kazakhstan. He is first to warm up. Artur DAVTYAN will be next, followed by Finland's Marcus PIETARINEN and Edoardo de Rosa. Those are the first 4 who will go. Mateo ZUGEC of Croatia next. Kilan BEL of Belgium. Nariman KAZ of Kazakhstan, and then we finish with Ravshan KAMILJANOV. Well, in terms of what we're looking out for in this pommel horse final, it's a pretty easy one. Does the gymnast stay on the apparatus? It's almost a guarantee that some of them won't. Of course, there will be execution points deducted for that. We're also looking for the leg form. Are their legs glued together when they're supposed to be? Do they bend them at certain points to keep their swing going? We're looking for hips high above the horse as well. well, we are of course looking for the dismount, the all-important ending to a routine. If you have a well-executed routine, but don't stick the dismount, then it's pretty much all in vain. End of warm-up. Zeinolla IDRISSOV of Kazakhstan, the 18-year-old, gets this competition underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Kazakhstan, Zeinolla IDRISSOV.
He earned himself a bronze medal at the World Cup in Cairo earlier this year. Didn't reach the final in Cottbus at the World Cup. This is his first World Challenge Cup, and he has made it to the final. Given that he already has a medal to his name this year, he will be hopeful of another. Well, you can see the disappointment etched across his face. He finished second in qualification with a 14.850. This is worth a difficulty score of 6.3. The execution has suffered there, unfortunately. Well, once he got going again, he had good hip clearance off the top of the horse. It's often why we see the more shorter, more muscular guys struggling with this piece of apparatus. He's got the right kind of physique to excel on the pommel horse. Armenia next up. Artur Davtyan needs no introduction. The Olympic rings emblazoned across his back. IDRISSOV well down on his qualification score. That was to be expected after he came off the horse. Davtyan now, 2021 European champion on pommel horse. European bronze medalist on this apparatus 2 years ago, or rather 1 year ago in Antalya. He's won European medals on vault, World Championship gold on vault. He's also hugely effective on pommel horse as well. Davtyan just so strong, maintained his form throughout. This is an absolutely exhausting apparatus. showed absolutely no signs of succumbing to tiredness. The Olympic bronze medalist from 2020 on vault though. But certainly a very accomplished performer on the pommel horse as well. 31 years of age now, but showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. He was third in Varna last year on the pommel horse, and I'm sure he will be very hopeful indeed of collecting another medal. Davtyan finished 5th in qualifying with a 14.1, and he's bettered that score, 14.266.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Finland, Marcus FIN.
Marcus PIETARINEN of Finland, the teenager who is transitioning from the junior levels up to the seniors. Eighth in qualifying with a 13.750. We've seen him competing at World Junior Championships, but he is a new face at this level, performing with real confidence. Showing some signs of tiredness there towards the end. The form starting to slip a bit. Once he found his rhythm in the mid part of the routine, he looked very good. He was perhaps a little bit untidy at the beginning stages, and then, of course, as you might expect, started to succumb to the tiredness towards the end, which is a wonderful experience, nevertheless, for the 18-year-old to have made the final here at the World Challenge Cup. And here's another name to look out for in the future. It's fantastic to see so many promising youngsters in Varna today, competing alongside the more experienced, accomplished athletes, who no doubt provide a source of inspiration. The judges furiously jotting down scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Italy, Edoardo ITA.
Slightly down on his qualification for the Finn. Nevertheless, as I said, an achievement just to reach this final. If Edoardo de Rosa of Italy, third best in qualification with a 14.650. This routine has a difficulty rating of 6.4. Second hardest routine in this final, after Nariman KAZ, who qualified in first position. He's just so neat and tidy, isn't he? That form not faltering at all. Oh, what a shame. It's such a shame for Edoardo de Rosa, who looked so strong and so assured throughout that routine, just fell at the final hurdle. Well, the shake of the head. Edoardo de Rosa bitterly disappointed with how his routine finished at 12.6. Such a shame for the Italian. Of course, the next four athletes will warm up before we resume this vault final. Mateo ZUGEC of Croatia will get us back underway. Well, Mateo ZUGEC won silver last year in Varna on the Pommel horse. Croatia actually had two finalists in that event. Mateo ZUGEC was sixth in qualifying with a 13.850. Incidentally, that was the same score with which he won the silver last year, so clearly qualifying this year is a very high standard indeed. Mateo ZUGEC in his third season as a senior. He's 22 years of age now.
Representing Croatia, Mateo ZUGEC.
Pommel horse specialist with fond memories of competing in Varna. He said he really began last season with confidence and he knew he had to make a few podiums. Of course, that's half the battle, isn't it? Believing you can do it. To actually make a podium once, then it becomes easier because you know that you actually can make it up there. Nicely done indeed, and just look at the reaction from ZUGEC. He applauds the crowd. I suspect he's actually half applauding himself as well. 6th in qualifying. Edoardo de Rosa, who finished 3rd, he would have been a threat. No longer is one, having fallen on landing. At the minute it is Artur DAVTYAN with a 14.266 who leads the standings. ZUGEC clearly hopeful of a big score here. See if the judges feel the same way. .3, he sneaks ahead of Artur DAVTYAN and into the lead. Well, it's close, but crucially, ZUGEC is now at the head of the standings. Belgium's Kilan BEL is next up. 7th in qualifying with a 13.8. This routine is worth 5.3 in terms of difficulty. It's a very clean routine, indeed, for the Belgian. High scoring final so far. He'll need more than a 13.6 if he is to make it onto the podium. .866. He is currently in 3rd place. Second Kazakhstani athlete to go on the pommel horse. Nariman KAZ. Qualification is anything to go by. He is the man to beat. He scored a huge 15.650 in qualifying. He has the most difficult routine. Difficulty on this one is 6.7, and that was absolutely stunning. Look, he's moving through these elements so well, looking so comfortable. KAZ making this look absolutely effortless. Well, he is the Pommel specialist. Bronze medal at the Asian Games last September on this apparatus. Two-time gold medalist on pommel horse from the Asian Championships. He has a skill named after him, the KURBANOV. And just look at the reaction. Big smiles, KURBANOV and his coach. Not quite time to celebrate just yet. .433, head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
Representing Uzbekistan,
Not quite what he achieved in qualification, but still better than the rest by quite some margin. KAMILJANOV is our final athlete to go. Ravshan KAMILJANOV of Uzbekistan. Fourth best in qualification. Another high score, 14.150. Difficulty of 5.7. Sticks the landing, and it's a high quality finish to this pommel horse final. KURBANOV leading the way with a huge score of 15.433. To get onto the podium, he will need to beat Artur Davtyan's score of 14.266. He's currently in that bronze medal spot. .633. It's another big score, and that is enough to get him into the silver medal position. He knocks Artur Davtyan off the podium. Confirmation then of the final rank in the men's pommel horse competition. Nariman KAZ with a huge performance to take gold with 15.433. Quite some margin between him and KAMILJANOV in silver. Mateo ZUGEC with a big performance to take the bronze, just edging out Artur Davtyan of Croatia. A surprise medalist in this final, given how the qualifications panned out, but he knew he'd done a good job. You could see the reaction as soon as he'd finished the routine. He was celebrating, he was looking towards the crowd, pumping his fists. Mateo ZUGEC with a 14.3 claims the bronze. He edges out Artur Davtyan by the finest of margins. Davtyan with a 14.266, agonizingly missing out on the podium. The silver medal goes to Uzbekistan. Ravshan Kamiljanov with a 14.633, but head and shoulders above the rest of Kazakhstan. It is Nariman KAZ with a huge score of 15.433.
First place awards, FIG President of Technical Committee, Artur Mickiewicz.
Първо място награждава Артур Мицкевич, президент на Техническия комитет на ФИД за мъже.
Please rise up for the national anthem of Kazakhstan. For the champions and marshals.
Well, it's been a very successful day so far for Kazakhstan. They've collected medals in the men's floor and the men's pommel horse. 2 golds so far and a bronze, so certainly the most successful nation of the day up to this point. That is the starting lineup for our final of the day. Yunus Kundugdu of Turkey will lead out the finalists. Worl of Ukraine, a very, very familiar face indeed in these rings finals. And here come the athletes. last 8 finalists have been introduced to the judges and to the crowd. And as ever, we will begin with the first 4 warming up before we get underway. You can see there, Oleg Vernev of Ukraine is first up to practice. Such a solid performer on this apparatus. Hugely experienced gymnast, the parallel bars Olympic champion from 2016, but also very handy across a number of different apparatuses, or apparatus rather. Well, in terms of the qualification results for this final event, it was Armenia's Artur Avestian who finished the highest. He had the highest difficulty as well with a 5.9. He's got the most difficult routine of all of these finalists. And he scored a 14.7 in qualification, which is quite some margin ahead of Paco Fernandez Enriquez of France, who finished second in qualification with a 14.250. So pretty high scoring qualification round. Artur Avestian of Armenia, he won the gold here on this apparatus last year, and he will be sure, I'm keen, to make it back to back. Plenty of competition though in this one. Dmitry Patanin of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan have picked up a number of medals already. Today they've got a couple of golds so far. Of course, Patanin holds one of them. He got the gold in the floor. He's now going to give it a go on the rings. Can he get a second medal? But first of all, it is Turkey's Yunus Gundogdu who gets us underway in our last event of the day, the men's rings. 7th best in qualifying. 13.7. Well, he sticks the landing. There were a couple of struggles for him. A couple of slight shakes, but a good dismount. This is the first time we've seen him competing at a World Cup or a World Challenge Cup since 2023. He only competed in vault there, and that was just the one event in Cottbus. So I'm sure he is glad to be back on the circuit. 13.933.
Representing Ukraine, Varna.
Slightly up on qualification. Oleg Verniev of Ukraine, such an experienced athlete. Fourth strongest in qualification with a 13.9, lower down on the difficulty score. This one's worth a 5. See the slight shaking there as he tries to hold the straddle shape, but the handstand is good. Slight hop back on the landing, but nevertheless it was a decent, solid performance for Verniev of Ukraine. He's won medals across so many different apparatus. Bars, vault, floor, rings of course. He has 2 bronze medals to his name on this apparatus from the Summer Universiades. Guangzhou in 2015, Taipei in 2017. Qualified with a 13.9. And he betters that.
Representing Armenia, Artur ARM.
Artur Tovsyan of Armenia, the 6th best in qualifying. Landing and a solid performance from the Armenian. You can see he was shaking a little during some of those elements. Generally held his form well. He's 31 years of age now, the Armenian. Not seen him competing at a World Challenge Cup this year. This is the first one we've seen him at since ZUGEC in Croatia last year. He made it through to the final of this apparatus, finishing 4th, just missing out on a podium place. 13.766 puts him in third of three at the moment. Belgium's Liam de Smet is next up. Fifth in qualifying. He has one of the more difficult routines. This is worth a 5.6.
Representing Belgium, Liam de Smet.
Smet of Belgium, not to be confused with a footballer of the same name. Years of age, originally from Jiangxi in China. Again, we last saw him competing at this level last year, and ZUGEC in Croatia reached the final of the Still Rings, finishing seventh there. Slight wobble on the handstand, the body not entirely straight. You can see he's veering off to his right hand side a little there. Right step back on landing for Liam de Smet, the fourth competitor so far in this final. Reach the midway stage of this rings final. But it was Artur Arm who finished highest in qualifying. We won't get to see him until almost the end. He is the seventh athlete to go, so might be a case of saving the best till almost last. Dmitry Patanin as well, he'll be one to look forward to. He goes last. That is enough to get Liam de Smet onto the podium as things stand. Slightly down on the score he achieved in qualifying though. Not too much of a difference. 13.8 versus 13.9, so he is nothing if not consistent.
World performer, good luck.
Kurbanov of Uzbekistan was third best in qualifying. He had one of the more difficult routines with a 5.4. See signs of struggle there, a bit of a shake, but nevertheless he is parallel to the ground and the handstand is well held as well. Just the slight step back on the landing, and that was pretty solid from Kurbanov. .150 in qualifying, and that would be the highest score in this final. It's been a lower scoring final than qualifying, that's for sure. Saying that, we haven't seen Artur Arm yet. Kurbanov, though, was the third best with a 14.15. So let's see what the judges make of this one when it really matters. .166. Edge is slightly ahead of his qualification score. That puts him at the top of the podium as things stand. 3 more gymnasts still to go, though. This is France's Paco Hernandez Enriquez, the Frenchman who finished second in qualifying. Big score of 14.250. This routine is also worth a 5.4 in terms of the difficulty.
Representing France, Paco Hernandez Enriquez.
Sit nicely held. Some slight movement on the handstand, however. French are competing, you can always hear them in the crowd with the cries of "Allez!" Their athletes are always very well supported no matter where they go. He scored a 14.250 in qualification. I'd be curious to see what the judges award him for his final efforts. There were times when he looked a little shaky on certain elements. 13.06, well down on the score he achieved in the qualification rounds. That puts him in last place. Artur of Armenia, the best in qualifying with a 14.7. He possesses the most difficult routine, a 5.9. And he is also last year's gold medalist. I'm sure he would like to go for the back-to-back. That was a really solid performance indeed from the Armenian. And you'd imagine that he'd be very hopeful of topping the standings following that. One more gymnast to follow. But you suspect that Avestian has now set the standard, holding all of those elements perfectly still. Static strength hold is really quite something. His dismount as well was solid. Well, he looks relaxed, and a 14.5 propels him to the top of the standings. Artur Avestian is taking the gold as things stand, but there is still one gymnast remaining, none other than Dmitriy PATANIN of Kazakhstan. He already has a gold to his name today. He finished qualification in 8th place, however. Avestian will probably be thinking that that gold medal is safe. What a solid landing. Dmitriy PATANIN rounds out the rings final. He scored a 13.6 in qualifying. His routine, the lowest scoring in terms of difficulty, with a 4.8. 14.633, pretty much the exact same score as he got in qualifying. So a consistent performance from PATANIN. Confirmation then of the results in the men's rings final. Artur Avestian, the clear victor.
Third place and bronze medal representing Ukraine, Oleg Varna.
Of course, anytime you see his name on the start list, you know that he will be a contender for one of the podium places. 14.066 was his score. Kurbanov got a 14.166. That's how close it was between bronze and silver.
Representing Armenia, Artur
Avestian, great show of sportsmanship, congratulates his fellow competitors, steps up to claim his gold. Gold in this event last year, gold again this year. 14.5.
Second place awards, FIG President of Technical Committee, Artur Mickiewicz.
Второе место награждала президент технического комитета Artur Mickiewicz.
And first place awards, President of Local Organizing Committee, Olympic medalist and World Champion, Varna.
Първо място награждава президента на Българския организационен комитет Йордан Велчев.
Please rise up for the national anthem of Armenia. Huge applause for the champions.
Congratulations
and out.
to Artur Avestian, Oleg Vernev and Horokon Kurbanov on their wonderful achievements. Three very good performances indeed on the rings to round out the day.
Дамы и господа, това бяха финалните изпълнения и финалното награждаване за течния трети състезателен ден. Утре ще наблюдаваме битката за